Welcome to Best Kept Secrets Travel, Episode 1. My name's Morgan.
And my name's Will, and on today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to plan a holiday to make everything less stressful.
Sounds pretty good. Let's roll the intro.
Best friends, and that's for life. Who stay traveling? I'm talking worldwide, 65 countries between the two. Every moment is so unbelievable. Sharing the best kept secrets about the trips and mistakes they made that they can't forget. So tell me if you're ready for a time to remember as they gear up for the next adventure. Yeah. Woo! Best kept secrets travel.
Welcome to episode 1 of season 3 of the podcast. Are you one of those people who stress out every time you try and plan a holiday?
Do you start worrying about flights, hotels, and activities weeks in advance? If so, don't worry. You're not alone.
Many people find the process of planning a holiday very stressful, but it doesn't have to be that way.
There are steps that you can take to make this process less stressful and more enjoyable.
In this podcast, we're going to be outlining 5 of the best tips for making planning a holiday less stressful. Stay tuned and enjoy.
Point number 1. Make a list of what you need to pack and start packing early. This will help avoid any last-minute stress.
Some examples of great items which you're almost always going to need to pack are, unless it's wintertime, but even in wintertime you might need it, sunscreen, hats, glasses, sandals, trainers, towels, swimsuit, shampoo, conditioner, soap, toothbrush, toothpaste, passports and driving licenses. These are some of the key items.
Imodium.
Morgan's favourite. Morgan's
Key.
absolute favourite thing.
Very important when travelling. And number 2 on our list is choose your destination wisely. Some destinations are more stressful to plan than others.
Some of the stress-free destinations include France, Spain and Portugal if you're living in the UK. But if you want somewhere slightly further out, the Caribbean, Mexico and Costa Rica are all amazing, as these destinations are relatively easy to plan and there's a wide range of activities to choose from whilst you're there.
You also don't have to worry about language barriers, as English is spoken widely in these countries. And for this point, we haven't based it on safety, we've just strictly put it on how easy it is to plan a trip and how good their tourism infrastructure is in that country. Number 3, plan your activities in advance and make sure everything is booked and arranged before you go.
Some very common and fun activities to be doing on your holidays, and you'll be able to do these kind of activities all over the world. You could go swimming or snorkeling in the ocean, and when you're doing that, you'll be able to see amazing wildlife. You might see things which you've never seen before, or if you've never been snorkeling in the ocean, it can be such an amazing experience. And some people I know will get scared, but it's just such a good, amazing thing to do. Other ones are visiting local waterfalls or going hiking in the hills or mountains or in valleys or along canals, because that way you actually remove yourself from technology, which you can use when you're at home, whenever, but you're actually going and seeing the genuine country for what it is. You're not spending your time in shops or shopping centres in general. You're actually being out in that country and enjoying the wildlife. You can take a boat trip. You could go fishing. You could rent a car and go and explore the local area. Hence why we always say you need a driving licence and passport. And I also recommend looking up insurance. Good secret there for anyone who's never rented a car overseas. You could visit a nearby town or city. Do you enjoy going and seeing local little towns and cities when you're about, other than the main ones?
Oh, I love doing it. I love when going on a trip trying to do day trips outside of the main city that you're visiting, because quite often these cities are a little less well travelled and they are still really beautiful and there's still lots of things to do there, but you'll have less of the crowds from all the normal tourists going there.
I love them as well.
Point number 4. When planning a holiday, it is important to create a budget and stick to it the best you can. This will help keep your expenses in check and avoid any unexpected surprises.
So there are a few ways to try and help make your budgeting easier for every holiday.
Please tell me.
Firstly, try to choose a destination that's more affordable, hence why we've recommended France, Spain, Portugal. all of these locations, specifically with someone like EasyJet, you can get and Ryanair, you can get very cheap and affordable flights to these destinations as they're so close to the UK. You can book cheap Airbnbs when you're there, even restaurants out. When I've been in, such as Benicassim, which is south of Barcelona, that was really cheap to go out and have dinner. That was less than £2 for a pint. We had a full dinner and I was full off less than £10, which
Amazing.
is a lot more affordable, especially going out for dinner, as well as you can always make dinner in your Airbnb. Other things you can do, plan your activities and book them in advance. So by booking everything in advance, you can often find discounts online, or they're doing offers online, which you might not necessarily get when you're actually there. Sometimes this is counterintuitive and it's actually better there because some of the systems automatically put on extra booking fees. But in general, you will always save money by booking in advance. Let's say you're going on a skiing holiday. If you book your skis in advance, you can save roughly 70% on your ski hire.
And going back to season 1, we did a lot of episodes on how to save money. So we've got season 1, episode 2, episode 5, episode 8, episode 11. We did quite a few episodes.
And we constantly talk about how to save money. Another one which, if you're really trying to do a serious budget holiday, is be as strict as you are once you're actually in the locations. It's very tempting to go out to lovely restaurants, but then you think, actually, I really want to do this activity, but this is only my budget. And you can be so cost effective by cooking at home. You can cook amazing meals at home when you're in some of these countries. I'm going to Italy in a couple of weeks' time, and when we're there, we're already planning what we're going to be cooking at home, because there are markets in the likes of Bologna which sell amazing fresh pasta, which will be as good as going
pasta
out
in
to a
Bologna is
restaurant.
amazing.
Exactly, it will be as good as going out to a restaurant. So we could buy that for a tenth of the price and cook it at home.
Exactly. And number 5 on our list, prepare for possible delays and problems along the way. This will help keep your stress levels down.
When I see delays, cancellations, or just general problems come up, I think that's the most common time to see anyone that we know travelling get stressed out, have breakdowns, have arguments. I've seen a lot of friends have arguments over the
He was
silliest
just
thing.
tired and grumpy.
But you and I, when we've had stuff happen before, we go, okay, so what can we do about this? What should we do instead? Like we've always just gone, let's
Worked
just make
out
the best case.
alternate plans,
Yeah.
make the best of it.
You can either sit there and you can moan about it.
And that will tend to set the tone for the rest of your trip.
Exactly, especially for that day. Or you can go, right, this wasn't our plan. Let's go and do something spontaneous. So when you're planning a holiday, it's important to be prepared for these possible delays and problems. It's going to keep all those stress level down, especially if you're with another half or with a friend, especially in big groups of friends, you're more likely to have different levels of stress. Best way to prepare is to have a plan B. This means having a list of alternative activities and arrangements that you can fall back on if needed. For example, if your flight's delayed, you can always book a hotel room for the night or explore the local area for that section of time waiting for the next flight. So it wasn't a delay, but we knew we had an enormous layover in Thailand, and instead of just sitting in the airport, which a lot of people we know did, we ended up spending 10 hours in Bangkok eating awful food.
Got a massage
which
and
made me
food poisoning, yeah.
And we got a massage.
Great.
on Khao
Well, I
San
had
Road.
a good experience.
But by having these fallbacks, it means that the second that something goes wrong, you're wasting a lot less time, and you're just going for it. Let's say you're going skydiving out in Australia, and you come to go and book it, and then sadly you find out that centre's closed on that day, an accident's happened, or they're fully booked. Have a couple of plan B places that you could also skydive, or do the right thing, as we said earlier, and actually book them in advance. If it's something you really want to do, and you know that if you can't do it when you're there, and it's going to upset you, book those specific ones in, and be more flexible about the activities or adventures which you're less keen on doing. Have a priority list and book those more important ones.
And something else that is very important when it comes back to flights and delays and bringing that stress back down is something that we talked about a lot, and that is one bag only.
One bag only.
If you travel with one bag only, then when there's cancellations, delays, you're not worried about losing your luggage because you have everything with you. You don't have to, if you're changing flights because your first flight was delayed, you don't have to worry about maybe your luggage has gone on another flight and it's somewhere else. You don't have to do that. So much better having one bag only.
I strongly agree with that statement. Another very important thing, which is so common, is not bringing all the documents. I'm talking passports, tickets, luggage documents, tags,
Vaccination documents.
Visas are a typical one people somehow forget. They fly to Australia and don't realise they need a visa. They get there and then they're in panic mode.
I see it on Border Force Australia all the time.
Vaccination
or
documents.
Yeah.
Everything. We've been to Bolivia. I think we had to make sure we had a yellow fever.
Colombia was yellow fever as well.
There are lots of places where just you're better being over-prepared than under-prepared. That'll save you time and money and stress. Finally, it's always a good idea to have rainy day money. By rainy day money, I mean a tiny bit of money which you've put to one side in case of emergencies. This is, you've suddenly found that your hotel's actually overbooked and you can't get a night's stay there, and the next hotel's £20 more expensive. Just having a tiny bit of money to fall back on, whether something happens, whether suddenly you're really hungry or something's gone wrong and you need to go out and buy some more food, having a tiny bit of spare money on the side is a really good safety net to have whilst you're travelling.
Sock money.
Sock money. That's another thing. You can hide it in your sock if you're in a slightly dodgy country. But that's not what we're talking about in this one, because we're talking about stress-free, enjoyable locations and planning opportunities. And by following all of these tips, you can minimise your risk of delays, ruining your holiday, and try and make it as stress-free as possible, which is exactly what we want to help you guys do whilst booking your holidays and adventures.
And if you feel like that you've learned something from this episode, please leave us a review or a comment if you're watching us on Instagram, because it really helps us as podcasters. And also, if you don't necessarily like something, then tell us, because we're really interested to know. If you have learned something, make sure that you share the secret with all your friends, enemies, acquaintances, random strangers that you walk by, anyone who might want to travel ever, which is, of course, everyone.
Share the secret, plant the trees, roll the outro.
Rolling.
Yeah, let's make it happen. I hope that you can handle going on adventures, best kept secret travels. Yeah, all over the globe, having fun, you know the deal. Amazing secret locations, hang out with Morgan and Will. Educate and entertain, haggle in the market, sharing their experiences. Time to get it started. Let's go.